So in the previous tutorial I explained how to add all the plates in the chest. I started out with the left to do all the movements, as you can see here. Same with the shoulder, and I did the same for the other side. It's doing all the same stuff, but just in the other axis, or in negative axis. As you can see, it all works as it should. Let's copy over some skin here. And let's continue with doing some skinning. So now I'm just going to move everything inside. So let's see what we have here. So we still have the gloves to go. We have the thrusters, the flaps. Then we have some rubber pieces, the mask, and we still need to attach the grenades, or the mines, or bombs, whatever you want to call them. So let's move this back. I'll start with the plates here. Let's grab this piece and isolate some. Just select the cylinders that are in here. So we get the exact center. Then select just a single cylinder to get an up vector. And let's just grab a face in the middle, so we can aim towards something. Let's hide isolate selection. Let's remove polygons from our view. And I'm just going to create a couple of locators. This is because the clusters don't really work all that well with constraints. Just one more. And make them a little bit smaller, so it's easier to see what we work with. Just grab one of the locators and select the other two. Do a constraint, in constraint. So we want to face X downward. So we're going to do a -1 of X, because this is the up vector that we're going to look at. And let's do Z inwards. That should be this way. And this way. So now X points downwards and Z points inwards. Let's grab a joint, select the locator, select the joint, do a parent constraint, delete the parent constraint, and freeze transformations. So this is the placement for our thruster plate. Now we're going to do the same for the thruster itself. Select one, select the ring that we have here, use a cluster, and just duplicate the joint that we have, place it inwards, and let's call this left thruster plate. And this is going to be the thruster itself. And for this one we're going to generate a control. So we go in here, and we're going to use the nerve circle. We're going to rotate around X, or Z I mean. So in this case we can open the thruster by rotating it out. Let's make it a little bit smaller, something like this. And let's hide polygons again, see what's going on. So if I rotate this one out, I want the thruster to rotate halfway with it. So I'm going to select both the joints that we have here, go into Windows, Node Editor, let's close this one to clean it up, and add the nodes. So we have the thruster plate, we have the thruster itself, let's expand. We're going to use the rotates that we have here, and I'm going to add a multiply divide node. Expand this one as well. And if we go to the Edit editor, you can see that we can add an operation, no operation, multiply, divide, or the power. And in this case we want to multiply everything that comes in by half. And we're just going to grab the rotate as an input, and the output will also be in the rotate. So if I close this now and I select the rotation, you can see it rotates by half. So I'll just select both joints, create slave rig, and let's go back here, show joints, select the plates, select the slave joint, bind skin, then we select the thruster, select the slave joint, and bind skin. And if I rotate this outwards now, you can see that the thruster rotates halfway. Now we don't want to rotate more inwards, so also for this one we can limit the information that we give it. And this is going to be the rotate Z. So we're going to set that to 0, so it can go inwards, but it can go outwards. And in the channel box, I'm going to remove all the channels that we don't need. And I'm going to do something similar here. Select the mesh that we have here. Isolate it. Make some edge loop selections. And then select some face on top. And let's remove visibility of polygons and just create locators again. Scale it down. And just place it everywhere. Same here, just grab one of the names and then do an aim constraint. And this is probably the same selection as we had last time, so I can just press OK and it will have the same orientation as the joints down below. So I'll just create a joint again, select the locator, select the joint, do a parent constraint, remove the parent constraint and give it a name. Also for this one, we can go into the script editor, just generate a control. Also this one's a little bit too big, just going to size it down a bit. Select the joint, create a slave joint. And select the meshes that go with it. And just skin them to the joint. Also this one only rotates in Z. Like this. So lock all the other stuff. And also limit rotation, like that. Now I'm quickly generating the same for the other side. So I'm back, and in the meantime I attached the other side as well. Only need to clean up the information that I give it. Also give the other side a color. And for this as well, let's clean it up. Get rid of the locators, get rid of the clusters. So we have the thruster plates and the back flap. Those can all be parented to the original bones, and the controls can be parented to the neck locator, and the slave joints can all be parented to the last part of the spine. Let's continue with the helmet. So this object can be directly skinned to the head joint. Let's grab the controls and see if this works. Same here. I see that there's something wrong with the rotation of my head in here. So let's get in there, which is my FK head control. It looks that my rotate X is not pointing forward like the joints do, or these controls are doing. So I'm going to change that now. Let's go in here. Group this head, let's call this correction, and let's go and see if we can find the FK head in here. That's this one. Let's delete point constraint and orientation, and first let's unparent the head control, move it back to 0, that's okay. Let's select the FK head in here, and we can see that the X is pointing correctly forward. Then we select the control correction, do an orient constraint, delete that orient constraint. Now we select the head control and put it in the correction, and we'll see that there's a rotate of 90. Just select that rotate, freeze, rotate. So now the X is exactly the same as the one we have in the joint. So now we only have to select the control and the FK head control or joint, do a point orient constraint, and now when we select the head control and the neck, it rotates in the same direction. So it's always good to test the rig, and there's always solutions to solve these minor problems. Now let's generate the same controls as we did for the fingers into these antennas. Let's select some vertices and just do some clusters. somewhere around the same distances from each other, and then just generate joints. Let's see, we want to have the X pointing to the next one and the Z pointing inwards. So let's go to skeleton orient joints, X to the next one, Z pointing to the negative X, and then the last one, orient joints, joint to world. Let's grab these all, call them left antenna chain. Oh. Skeleton mirror joints. Let's select them all, go into the script editor and generate controls. Now we can select all the controls that we have here and then change the radius. And then because we made sure that everything is parented correctly, we only have to get the right antenna chain out of this selection. And then we're going to generate the slave rig. And here again, do some reparenting. Okay, let's get rid of the clusters. Let's parent the antenna chain to the last part of the head. Make sure that it's the one we skin to. Now that we have this one, we can create a locator. Let's see if we don't already have a head locator. Nope. Select the head joint, select the locator, and create a parent constraint. Put both antenna chains into the head locator and parent this one to the world. And the slave antennas can go to the slave joints. This is a single mesh. So we select all the bones. And let's see how this moves. There's a couple of skinning issues, but we can always fix those later. Let's lock and hide the channels we don't need. And give these a color. And let's test if it works. Seems that it's following the head. Both IK and FK. Now we have to attach the bombs that we have in the floor here to the bomb belts. So let's all move them back to their original position. It's not this one. Like that. And let's just select one of them. And let's create a locator. Select the control group, select the locator and do a parent constraint. So now when we move the bomb or the mine, the locator follows. And let's just place it somewhere in the belt so it matches up with the high-res mesh that's in there. I was told by Ben that they don't really match, but we can get it close enough. So something like this maybe. Let's minimize the gaps that are in there. Yeah, something like this. Duplicate the locator. Give this a name, left back mine position, and then we're going to move the group ahead. And match the position over here. Hide the original. And then make sure that it matches the attachment point. Something like this. Duplicate the locator, clean it up, and call this left front. And now we are going to place the locator or the mine inside the hand into the magnets where it's going to be attached and can be grappled. So maybe these points, let's see if I can match them up a bit. It's not perfect, but it looks believable enough. So I'm going to detach the parent constraint that I had. And let's call this the left hand pulse. Let's group these and duplicate them to the other side. And let's rename them. And parent them from the groups. And let's put this one back in its original position. And open up the controls. So now we're going to use the dynamic parent constraint. And I'm first going to show you how to attach it, and then I'm going to show how it works. So I select the left positions, the first mine, and I just add dynamic parent. The only thing it does, it puts the sticky bomb control down below here. And if I'm now going to switch the parent in here to the left hand position, I can put this all to 0. And now it's positioned to the locator that I set up here, which now is the parent. But if I select the control and switch to the left back mine position and put everything to 0, it positions itself in here. And as you can see, I scaled the mines down with the group, but that scale is not in here. So I have to go back to the original position, and I have to make sure that this entire parent chain is also attached. So now whenever I move this, let's select the controller, I put it in the left back position. So now it fits perfectly. Let's do the same for the second one. Add a dynamic parent chain. Move the group in there and parent the control back to its original group. Then I can select the control and put it in the left front. And do the same with the other side. So I select the right side, select the control dynamic parent, put the group back in, and put the control in the correct place. Put it in the right back position. And the same for the last one. And put it in the right front position. And then we can group these all back to the sticky bomb group, which can now be part of the master control. The left back and the left front position, let's hide the slave root. These two can be parented to the joint we have here. Same for the other side. The left hand position is going to be part of the wrist. The right hand position is going to be part of the wrist on the other side. And the thing about these is, let's quickly switch to IK. If I now move the hand to the position where the mine is, I select the mine and I attach it to the left hand position, I can now move the hand away and it's part of the hand. And they taught me that this was dynamic parenting. Other people call it space switching, but as you can see, it works. Put it back in the left front position to make sure that now these are part of those belts. As you can see, let's put the hand back in its original position. And that was it for the mines. Now let's do a cleanup. So let's get rid of the polygons, get rid of joints, get rid of the nerve curves. Drag select, so you can select all the IK handles. Add them to the don't touch layer. Drag select again. You select all the locators. Press down once. Remove their scale so they are not visible anymore. And then display, object display, template them so they cannot be selected as in here. So now show everything again. And this mesh, especially because we have a lot attached now. Well, first I'll just attach all the other parts that are still left in here. So let's move this out of the way. So those are the things in here. Let's create a set. So we have everything selected in here, but still needs to be skinned. Let's place the character back. So a lot of stuff that's in the center. Just let's select everything and remove the gloves and the rubber parts. Let's unhide the sleeve. And this can go to the last part of the spine. And because we have the gloves both left and right in a single mesh, I'm going to use the Grenadier main body that we still have to copy over the skin from there. Like that. And then we still have the rubber parts left. These ones here can also be skinned to the spine. Let's hide the spine in here. And we want to move this one now here with the joint that we have created here. So I'm just going to select a row. Something like this. And then I'm going to attach it to the mine chain. And if I move this out of the way, you see it will move with it. And now I can select this and grow my selection a bit. And use weight hammer to clean it up. Like that. Now I have to do the same for the other side. Just to make it easier, I'm just going to skin a single face to the chain. And then select both. Go to the skinning tool and then mirror skin weights. Make sure that everything is set correctly. And mirror. So now if I move this one, I did the selection wrong. So first the one we want to skin from, and then the one we want to skin to. From positive to negative. Then use mirror. You can see now the rubber goes with it. And we have to do the same for all the joints that this piece is attached to. But I'm going to do that a little bit later. First I'll just select the Grenadier Then I'll select the rubbers and just do a copy pose. And then we can get rid of the set, because I believe everything is now skinned. Yes, it is. But as you can see, when I drag this one away, it's quite slow. And we have 2 frames a second. So what I want to do is I select the original grenadier that we have, and I'm going to create a proxy mesh, which is this one. This will take a while, so I'm just going to pause the video and then later on I'll show you the result. So I'm back and the proxy mesh is generated. So now I can delete the original skin that we had. And let's go into two-sided lighting. And let's hide the mesh that we have in here as well. As you can see, this is a little bit faster. And what it did is it generated meshes which had this from the influences that we gave it, and just point and orient constraint them, and just cut them up so it's really fast to work with this. And an animator can do really fast animations, and now we're going to make sure that they are able to switch between the low res and the high res mesh. So let's select them both, call this group the mesh, and let's add the mesh group into the layer, which we're going to call mesh layer, and we're going to reference. So now we can't select the mesh anymore. Then I want to select the low res and add that to a layer. Also this one reference, and we save it. But now if I switch this off, the low res is no longer visible in the scene. Let's do the same for the high res, but in this one I want to make sure that we still have the jump stilts. So I select everything but the jump stilts group. Create a new layer. Make sure that when I hide this, the jump stilts are still visible. Double click it and call this the high res layer. Also reference this one. So now, if I have the low res visible, it will still be fast, and the animator can switch between these two. As you can see, it gives a little bit of a speed up. Now select everything, group it, and call this grenadier rig. And just to be safe, let's select the entire master group. Everything that's in there. As you can see, we've created a lot. Just select everything in there, go to the script editor, and make sure that everything we selected, all the joints that are in here, are invisible. So we only have the slave rig left. So go back to the original outliner. And we template the skeleton layer. So the only thing that is still left is doing a little bit of the cleanup in here. Oh, we still have the sticky bomb group. These slave rigs can also be added to the slave root. So in this case, you can make sure that everything in the slave root, also with script editor, is drawing. So if we go back, you can see that the sticky bombs are also added. Also these we can just give a color. Let's make them something orange, so that they are different from all the other controls, as they are objects that we can place in the scene. And then let's move back. Let's do a final check. Everything seems to be there. So we hide the curves, we hide the polygons, we hide the joints, and nothing is left in the scene. We can do a thorough check on all the channels. We need to do the skinning, and that should be it for this rig. And once you're done with the skinning, what you can still do is go into the mesh and select all the objects in there. We don't need the low res, but we do need the high res. So select all the high res objects, go to the skinning tools and say remove unused influences. This will take a while as well. It will remove all the joints that are not used for a particular object, which removes a lot of calculations and can also improve the speed up of your scene. So I'm going to pause it here and wait till it's done. Okay, so now that's removed. There's still some other stuff we can do to clean up the scene. Let's go into Window and then Rendering Editors, Hypershade. And then we go into Edit, Delete Unused Nodes. So all the nodes that we don't use in the rig or attached to the mesh or whatever are all deleted. So that also saves on calculations. And we can go in the outliner and check everything. So we make sure that the curves that we are creating here, select all the animation curves, and we make sure that we lock them all. We can do a rename on the blend colors if you really want to do that. Also a lot of make NURB circles in there. We have the 2 multiply divides that we can rename. We have the skin clusters, and we have transform geometry in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit, delete all by type, non-deformer history. This will also take a while, but if we're going to check it now, we can see that the make NURB circle is gone. We only have tweak nodes, but we don't have the transform geometry. So we can remove this. And then it's entirely clean. That was it for the tutorials. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you have any questions or if you're stuck, please feel free to contact me. You can contact me on this email address. Let's make that bigger. And hopefully soon I can create the tutorials for the face rig, and you might enjoy them as well. Thanks for watching.